Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Brandye, and we are here on Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. We are chilling, y'all. It is Wednesday. I'm so sorry. I was late today. Um, we are working on what our plan is for distance learning for the child. And there was a webinar with school district, and so I was on that webinar, and they just let off literally a few minutes ago. So I apologize for being here late because I know you guys were anxiously awaiting, you were anticipating us getting together tonight. So here we are. All right. So if you are jumping on, if you're just jumping on, say hello. Throw an emoji in the comment section. Let me know that you are here because I want to acknowledge you and say welcome and thank you for being here. Because, not everybody shows up every time. And if you're here, I definitely want to acknowledge you. And I feed off your energy too. So if we are vibing and we're having a good time, that works out for everybody. It's just a better experience overall. So say hi in the chat so I can say hi back. All right. All right. So how are you guys doing? How is your day going? We made it till Wednesday. I always say happy hump day because it's the middle of the week. And we have, generally by Wednesday, we've kind of hit our stride and we are ready for, the down slope and ready for our planning for the weekend. And I know even though we're still, sheltering in place and all that stuff, you can still plan some good stuff for the weekends, even being at home. So just wanted to, ask, what are you guys doing? How are you doing? How are things? I am enjoying this week, although it's starting to get warm again here in Cali. And I'm in Southern Cali. And so, my air conditioning is not working. So I am looking forward to having the air conditioning service guy come out and help get some things together so we can keep it nice and cool in here because it's no fun when it's too hot and you can't cool down. You got to get creative, you got to pull out the kiddie pool and all the things. So, we have a call in to the air conditioning service guy so that we can get him out so we can get the air conditioning fixed so we can be cool as cucumbers. All right? All right. So, what are we talking about tonight? Tonight, we are going to be talking about a different spin on low sex drive. And, typically you'll hear me talking about a whole host of things. You'll hear me talking about ways that you can improve your sexual experience and ways that you can help to just make things over the top, making it an experience as opposed to it just being something that you do, as opposed to it just being this routine thing that you do. So tonight we're going to talk about the stories that we tell ourselves about sex. And this is part of some things that I think are important for us to understand just on a baseline, a foundational level about the influences in your life that can make or break your sex drive. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we are going to be talking about kind of the stories that we tell ourselves about sex. So I hope you are ready for us to jump in and get started. Hey, Laura, you are back again. Thank you so much for joining. So glad to see you. So we're going to get started. So you know who I am. I am Dr. Brandye, board certified OBGYN, Amazon #1 best-selling author of my book, My Oh My, A Committed Woman's Guide to Getting the Great Sex She Deserves. and I am your sex and pleasure coach. And what do? I teach women how to feel good in and out of the bedroom and how to get their sexy back. That's literally what I do every day. Every day. And I'm so privileged to be able to do it because it brings me so much joy to bring joy to other people and to bring pleasure to other people. So I am super excited about what I get to do and who I get to help. And my big goal is for every woman in the world to have an orgasm. At least one, preferably multiple, but at least one, if she so chooses, and not to let it be this, it might happen, it might not happen. I like sex, kind of. I don't think so. I don't want it. I want you to embrace and enjoy the sexual experience and be able to have the climax, to experience the climax to the best of your ability. So that's why I do what I do. So with that being said, let's jump into tonight's lesson about the stories in our head, the stories that we tell ourselves about sex and pleasure. Now, there are a number of different things that influence our ability to have and enjoy sex. And yesterday we had we had Talk About It Tuesday, and we were talking about how the status of your relationship can influence whether or not you have a great sex life. So if there's tension and drama and just this general sense of unease in your relationship, that lends itself to a feeling of being uncertain or insecure about the relationship, and that can show up as low sex drive. That can show up as just no desire, or you might have a desire, but the upper newer parts of your brain, kind of the cortex, frontal cortex, the prefrontal cortex, those are areas that actually would say, okay, well, you might have that desire, but you remember this, or you remember that. And those will just shut it down. Just shut it down. Like, nope, not today, not today. So we talked about that yesterday. So if you missed that, go back and watch yesterday's live, because we were talking about relationship status and how that can influence your sex drive. But tonight we're going to talk about something more internal. We're going to talk about your story that you're telling yourself about sex. Hey, Dr. Hassan, thank you for joining. So glad you're here. And so let's talk about the stories that we tell ourselves, because you know that you have something called an inner dialogue. And if you haven't recognized it yet, I want to challenge you to start listening to what things you hear in your head, because those stories influence how you see the world, how you interact with the world, and how you actually are able to interpret communication to you. So, there was a time where I wasn't aware of kind of that inner dialogue that was happening in my head. And in that inner dialogue, I was, saying some pretty mean things to myself, like things that I would never say out loud, but in my head, that was the tape that was running. It was stuff like, who do you think you are? You can't do that. Like, you're not smart enough for that. You're not good enough for that. Like, just weird stuff. Like, you're too fat for that. Just weird stuff. But not necessarily weird, but just things that were negative in my space. And you know what? I also had some negative thoughts about and around sex and pleasure. Like, I'm not worthy of pleasure. I don't deserve that. I don't want that. Like if I want that, if I want sex, if I want pleasure, then I'm inviting attention to myself. I'm inviting the wrong attention to myself. So things like that, those were kind of the background inner dialogue happening. You know, there was even some stuff in there that was running that was saying that I didn't even like sex. Like, why am I trying to have sex? I don't even like sex, which wasn't true, by the way, because some of that stuff, some of it is true. It's like, okay, I'm never gonna be a size 0. Never in my life have I been a size 0. Will never be a size 0. Don't really want to be a size 0, but that's beside the point, right? That inner dialogue, your inner mean girl will be like, yeah, you can't wear that. You ain't gonna never be small enough for that. You'll never be able to wear a size 0. You right. Boo, you right. But I don't want to. But let me tell you this, I will get it right, get it tight, and I will get to the place in the space where I'm happy with my body and what it looks like and what I can wear. So that's part of what we're going to talk about tonight, is challenging that inner dialogue. But first, I just want to make sure that you understand what that inner dialogue is and how it shows up. Because if you know what it is, if you know how it shows up, then you are 50% ahead of the game. Because if you are aware of something, then you can change that something, right? So just being aware of that inner dialogue is super, super, super important. What story are you telling yourself about sex and pleasure? Are you telling yourself that you don't deserve it? Are you telling yourself that, something is wrong with you? Are you telling yourself, that you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too this, you're too that, you're too this, you're too that? Can I tell you? Everybody, all bodies were made for pleasure. You want to know how I know? Because everybody has a pleasure center in their brain. And in that pleasure center is where all the desire starts, where all the signals go to even be aware of the pleasure and to respond to the pleasure. So everybody has pleasure centers. So that's how I know that everybody, no matter what your age, what your body type, body size, blood type, whether you are healthy or not healthy, whether you are tall, short, thin, fat, whether you have green eyes, blue eyes, brown eyes, you were made to experience pleasure. Now, whether or not you choose to indulge in that is a whole other thing, but you were made for it and you have the necessary physical equipment for it to happen. So if that's a revelation for you, that's your revelation. You're welcome. So you were made for pleasure, no matter what. So when you are not experiencing pleasure, what happens? There can be a little bit of, I want to say there can be almost like a depression, because you stop having the joy that you would have from certain activities, and stuff that would normally make you happy doesn't make you happy. You stop wanting to interact with people. You stop wanting to take care of yourself. And so that's why pleasure is so important, because it actually contributes to your overall well-being. And so because it has that pivotal space in terms of your life force, your vitality. So you got your physical vitality, your mental vitality, and then your sexual vitality. Because it is so pivotal to your life force, it's important for you to take care of it. So just like we do things to take care of our body, Just like we do things to take care of our minds and try to stave off Alzheimer's disease and dementia and all these other things, you also want to take care of your sexual vitality. And one of the ways that you can do that is by monitoring and correcting your inner dialogue. So I call my inner dialogue, I gave her a name so that, when she is out of line, I can call her out. So my inner dialogue, my inner mean girl, because she's mean. She says some stuff. She's mean. Her name is Victoria. So if Victoria is, getting out of line, I'll be like, whoop, come on, boo-boo. Victoria, I'm going to need you to chill. Or, so first I'll call her out. And if she keep going, because sometimes she hard-headed. She'll just keep talking. I'm like, Victoria, shut it up. Delete. We are not going to entertain that. Why? Because you can choose your thoughts. Just because something pops in your head, something pops in your mind, that does not mean that you have to accept it as your own. You can say, nope, return to sender. Nope, I don't want it. Nope, I will not accept that. That is not going on here. But if something, one of the things that come up, if something comes up and it is true, it's not hurtful or anything, but it's true, but you don't want it to be true, you can always add something on the end of that. So say, that inner mean girl, Victoria, she's saying to you, you know what, your butt is too big. You can't even fit into those jeans. You can say, not yet, but I'm going to do what I need to do so I can get all shaped up and be able to fit in those jeans in the next 6 weeks. So you flip it around and you encourage yourself when you flip it around. So don't take it at face value. That's probably the first thing. Whatever is running through your mind, you don't have to accept it. And if you choose to accept it, you don't have to accept it at face value. You can change it so that it is more encouraging and more uplifting for you. Okay? And then thirdly, in terms of that story that you're telling yourself, thirdly, you want to be able to tell yourself a different story. Now, some of the clients and patients even that I see in my work in the office, as my regular OBGYN stuff, and also with my coaching clients, we talk about kind of those underlying thoughts that you have about sex. It's dirty, it's not something that good girls do, especially when you're talking about doing something outside of your usual, like oral sex or, doing masturbation or things like that. It's like, ooh, it's dirty. Ooh, I shouldn't be doing that. Those kinds of things. Those are some of the stories that you can tell yourself to prevent you from doing certain things. So if you want to move past that and not tell yourself these stories, you can, reframe it. So how do you reframe it? Well, I am a science nerd, definitely a geek, science nerd, right? And one of my favorite classes was microbiology. So in microbiology, we learned about all the lovely organisms that inhabit our skin, all the lovely organisms that inhabit our skin everywhere, including the genitals. And you can probably imagine that at one point I was like, ooh, sex, that's nasty. Ooh, oral sex, that's nasty. You want me to put what? Where? Nah. I can't do it. But you know what I did? I said I want to change that thought process. So I did some work. I did some inner work on it. Did some other research to check some things out. Put some processes in place so I could feel comfortable doing what needed to be done. And now, it's not a big deal. So you can change your story. That's the point of me telling you that. You can change how you think about certain things when it comes to sex and pleasure. So don't be intimidated by that inner dialogue, by your inner mean girl. And you can name your inner mean girl whatever you want to name her. Dr. Hassan, you don't have to have an inner mean girl. You can have an inner mean dude and name him accordingly. But you got to be aware of what is happening, what things you are telling yourself, one. Two, you have to know that you don't have to take it all at face value and you can choose what it is that you believe. And three, you can change that inner dialogue. Hey, Tamika, so glad you could join us. Listen, I want you to go back and listen to the replay because we are going through some stuff about the stories that we tell ourselves around sex and pleasure. And, you want to get the whole thing, the whole lesson, not just the tail end. So definitely go back and watch the replay. If anybody is catching this on the replay, please put #replay in the comments so I know that you are here. And if you have any comments or questions, you can definitely throw those into the comment section and I'll swing back around and take a look and answer any questions that come up. So yeah, so just know that the stories in your head that you're telling yourself about sex and pleasure can influence your sexual desire. And so as much as possible, you want it to be a positive story. You want it to be something that is helping and not hurting your sex drive or your sex life. So if you have any other questions, go ahead and throw those into the comment section. Also, if you listen to this and you said, you know what, I might have some negative inner dialogue. I might have a Victoria in there talking to me about how sex is dirty and nasty, or just anything around sex and pleasure, and you want some extra support around that, get on my schedule. Book a 20-minute session. It's 20 minutes. We talk about what's happening. I can give you some ideas for what you can do next, and we can go from there. So just go to drbrandyeobgyn.com and book your session. And I'll be happy to meet with you and talk with you. Like I said, this is my jam. I talk about this all the time. I do this all the time. I love it. I'm passionate about it. And if I can help you to get to your best sex life ever, I want to do that. So definitely get on my schedule, drbrandyeobgyn.com. All right, guys. Okay, so I'm going to get out of here because my stomach is about to growl super, super loud. I already feel it. I got to go get some dinner. So I'm going to get out of here, but I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and have a wonderful, happy hump day. And if you can get some humping in, get it in. Do that. All right. Have some fun. All right. So I'm Dr. Brandye, board certified OBGYN, Amazon #1 bestselling author, and your sex and pleasure coach. And I teach women how to get their sexy back and how to feel good in and out of the bedroom. And I will see you guys on Friday for Dr. Brandye After Dark. So Friday, 8:30, right here. Okay? I'll talk to you soon. Bye.